Orcs. I love orcs. They were my first Warhammer army, and with the new 10th edition rules of Warhammer, HQs are more important than ever. So today I'll be painting up a warboss that I scrapped together. I love the look of the new knob from the Combat Patrol box, and he was different looking enough from my other knobs that I just had to use him as this boss. I used green stuff to really try and bulk him out and make him bigger. I took a big shoot arm from the Old Boys kit and slapped a knob gun onto that for his combi weapon. And for the boss pole on his back, I used a pole out of the knob kit and wasn't quite big enough, so I slapped a leftover Gorgonaut faceplate onto it. I tried to make him as close to the size of a regular war boss as I could. His muscles aren't quite as bulky, but he takes up about the same size and height, so he'll work. Effectively, I want him to look like one of my rank and file boys that worked his way up into being a boss, so he's going to have the same general color scheme as one of my boys. He'll also look different from my original boss that I bought off eBay that was already painted, so they'll be easy to tell apart. So we're starting with a white prime and contrast orc flesh. We'll be doing more with the skin later on, but this is how we start. Just slap it on the skin and let the contrast paint do its thing. Just try not to let it pool too much on any raised or flat surfaces. Same deal for the pants. We're using Black Legion contrast. For the majority of the rest of my army I actually used Black Templar, but Legion is what I have now, and honestly I think it's better anyway. Any black would work for this. I play Goths, so you want black to be a significant part of the color scheme. Normally I'd use snakebite leather for the boots, but I was out of that, so I used Steel Legion drab instead. Like the pants, the kind of brown really probably doesn't matter for this, so long as the boots are brown. For his jacket, I used Flayed One Flesh to match the shirt of my boys. You'll probably need 2 coats of this. It's on the lighter side, and the coverage isn't great. It's really more supposed to be used as a highlight color, but I really like how this turns out after the wash. There's a lot of metal on this boss, so I went to the good old standby of lead belcher on all of it. The gun, the claw, the shoulder pads, the boot tips, just everything. Since the bottom part of the gun has a flamer attachment, we're going to hit it with some Hasshut copper up and around the heat shielding. Then we hit the tip of the front end with a little bit of black for some scorch marks. At the edge of where you stop with the black, I do a little bit of Magos purple to give it that little bit of exhaust tip kind of look, like a piece of metal that's been heated and cooled over a long span of time. With just the metal color, the claw looked kind of boring. I really liked what my other warboss has going on, with some of the red in the claw and some chipped edges around it, so I'll be doing that, as well as doing some of the wires and kind of power pack thing on the back of the claw. The claw is one of the focal points of the model, so I really want it to stand out. So I take some Stormhose Silver and do some quick edge highlights on the blades. You could do this after the wash too if you wanted, but I think pre-highlights on weapons are fitting for orcs and how dirty they are. Speaking of red, I went and painted the belt buckle, the loincloth, and some of the bits on the shoulder pad red. You see red used as an accent color in orcs a lot of the time, and it really helps what would otherwise be just kind of a blob of green and black stand out. Really adds a little bit of a flourish of color to the whole piece. For the cable leading to the claw and the gun, drawing from my original orc boss again, I went for a yellow cable with hazard stripes. This stands out and helps lead the wandering eye to the focal points, which are going to be the claw and the gun on this model. For the second layer on the skin, we're going to use Scarsnit Green. We thin it down a bit more than normal and not quite dry brush it on. It's too thick to really be a highlight and not dry enough to really be a dry brush. Effectively, you just want a decent bit of the contrast to be showing through when you're done, especially in the recesses. Almost like a thinner base coat, I guess. The boss pole took me a minute to figure out. There wasn't really any other place to add the signature Goth checker marks, so I put them on the boss pole. I started with a few coats of white paint, then started adding the black boxes over it. Looking back, I really should have sketched this out and then filled in the boxes afterwards, but I just went straight to the boxes on this. It looks a little jank, but it works. Definitely catches the eye and stands out, which is the whole point of the boss pole. Now it's time for washes. Metal and pants get Nuln Oil, the boots get Agrax, simple stuff. The two standouts in this process were the boss pole and the skin. The boss pole also got nil oil, but I tried to only use downstrokes with my brush. The idea was to make it look a little dirty for some of the angles on the faceplate to stand out a little more. But it's so high up, you don't want it to look too dirty, and white can go downhill quick when you start using washes on it, so I tried to be careful. The orc skin got hit with a Thonian camo shade. I absolutely love this wash. It gives me the perfect, dirty, grubby green I want for orc skin. And since we didn't put the Snarsnik green on so heavy, the recesses look nice and dark, but a dark green, not so much dark black. Normally I leave it at that for painting, but this is an HQ. And not only an HQ, but the first warboss I've ever painted, so I want to go the extra mile. We're going to give him a few highlights. I've never done highlights on orc skin before, but this was really fun. I took some moot green and watered it down a bit more than normal. And I started on his face, as it's so angular, it's almost like doing edge highlights. I hit the nose, the lips, around the top of his head. Then I moved on to the bulges in his arm muscles. I made a point to get his abs and pecs. My man looking like he's out of 300. Then I went and did some edge highlights on his jacket with the original Flayed One flesh. And to finish off the highlights, I made sure to get those little red bits with some Evil Sun Scarlet, just to make those little accent colors stand out just that much more. And I'm calling that done for painting. Now let's move on to the base. And say it with me, glue and dunk. I've shown this method off in videos before. Basically, you just paint the rim of the base with whatever color you want, water down some PVA glue, and spread it around the base. Then dunk the base into whatever basing material you're using. Then we're going to let that dry. When it's dry, we take some Agrax shade and apply it to the sand. Then we let that dry and hit it with even more thinned down PVA to seal in the sand. You could also dry brush another color on top of the sand to give it a kind of two-tone look, or super glue down some rocks or plants or whatever. But since this was my first army, I kept the bases pretty basic, and they're just standing around in dirt. Now all that's left is a top coat, and we're done. This was a lot of fun. I love how the skin highlights came out, and I'll definitely be doing that on future work HQs. It's actually been a long time since I painted any kind of orc, since my boys sat on the shelf for the majority of 9th edition because they were just borderline unplayably bad. But with the new rules for 10th edition, I'm really excited to try playing them again. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to see more.